Hello YouTube, AD's Mod Shop here, and today I'm going to go over how to install Android on any version of the Switch. So it doesn't matter if it's a V1, V2, Lite, or an OLED, doesn't matter if it's a special edition console, this will work for all modded Switch consoles. So as long as it has custom firmware, it can run custom firmware, meaning it has a chip or it has an RCM loader mod, it will work for this. So first things first, there's two ways you can do this. Okay, so you can install Android along with your normal SD card, meaning along with your emunand and your normal things, but that's a little more complicated because especially if you have emunand set up, you're gonna have to if you want to do this, it's gonna format the SD card, so you're gonna have to back up everything. Then you're gonna have to use NX NAND Manager to extract the emunand partition from the SD card, then restore it and stuff. So that's the longer way, and you can do that and have triple boot on your Android, but it's really not convenient. So like I have a Switch with a terabyte on it, and I have like 600 gigabytes and an emunand set up, and that would be a huge headache just to add Android to it. So the best way is to just get another separate SD card. So that's what I did. I have a separate SD card just for Android, and because it's Android, the SD card doesn't need to be large. You can literally use a 16 gig a 16 gig SD card, and you'll be fine, because mostly you're not going to be using Android, to install games and stuff. You're gonna mainly, most people use it to be able to stream and use like your Chrome and all that stuff, just to have like web browsers and stuff. Most people don't actually use it for Android games. At least I don't, and most people that I know don't. But if that's what you're doing, then just use a bigger SD card. But again, you can use any size SD card, 8 gigabytes minimum though. So I have a 400 gig right here. I'm not actually going to be using this SD card for my console. This is just for tutorial purposes. But okay, so right now that's the way I'm doing it. I'm going to be showing you guys how to set it up as a separate SD card, and then all you have to do is switch SD cards, and I'll show you guys how to set it up so that when you switch to the Android SD card, when you press the power button, I'll show you guys how it'll go to set it up so it'll go directly into Android. You're not going to have to go into Hekate and select anything. That makes it a lot easier. That way, when you want to use Android, just take out the SD card, plug in the new one, just press power, and that'll be it. Unless you have an RCM loader, you'll just need to shoot the Hekate payload, and if you follow the process, it'll boot right into Android every time you shoot your Hekate payload. So okay, first things first, you're gonna need to go to this site, Switchroot.org, then go to downloads, and then click Android 11. You must click Android 11, and you have to be in this tab right here, download.switchroot.org/Android 11. Android 10 will not work, and it has to be this release. So you can't use any other releases of Android, or any previous releases I should say, because before this release, Android and Linux only worked on unpatched Switch consoles, meaning the first generation of Switch consoles that you can use an RCM loader on. So if you use any older versions of Lineage, this will not work, because that requires core boot.rom, and and patch switches don't have access to core boot. So this is a completely different method, and this works for, like I said, all types of switches. So now, first things, pick what type of Android build you want. So there's ATV, which is Android TV build. So that's literally, it's going to set it up as if you have a smart TV and you had Google on it. It's going to set it up as if it's an Android TV. And then there's the NX tablet, Android tablet, which is going to set it up like a normal tablet or a Android on a phone would be like. So I personally like the NX tablet, obviously, but some people like the ATV. If you're more into just media, like watching movies and streaming games, then TV is best for you. But if you want to do more than that, like, I don't know, use more root features and have access to like web browsers like Chrome and stuff, then you want to go with Tab, because Android TV does not have Chrome. Chrome is not supported on Android TV, and a lot of web browsers aren't supported on Android TV. It's mainly like the third-party crappy ones that are supported. So your best bet is to use this one, so NX Tab Beta. Okay, so download that, and then you're going to need a couple more things. I'll leave a link in the description for them, and that will be Hekate, obviously, which you can just get from Hekate's main website. You just click on the zip, which is the right there. Okay, then this is the file, the NX tab, but that's the Android tab from the Switchroot site. Then Magisk, this is these three files are optional. You don't need them, but it does help to have them. So Magisk is will root your device. So this is for rooting if you want to root. Alarm disable, I'm not really sure what that's for, but I think that's something to do with the lock screen. But I know for some reason that you need to use this for some weird thing that the Switch does with alarms or notifications. It's some kind of notification issues. And then Joy-Con Xbox, which is obvious. It'll just switch the controls from Switch to Xbox controls. So the A, B, X, Y will be switched. So once you have all that, now get your SD card, right? So let me plug in my SD card. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you're going to open Hekate first. And then you're going to copy everything in there to the SD card. And make sure the SD card is either formatted to exFAT or FAT32. Okay, so right click, format. Make sure it's either exFAT, not NTFS. It has to be either exFAT or FAT32. If you're formatting through Windows, it's gonna only show exFAT. But if you prefer FAT32, for now you can do exFAT, because once we actually partition the once we actually format the SD card through the Switch, it'll automatically switch it to FAT32. So you don't have to worry about that. So for now, just make sure it's either exFAT or FAT32, and you don't have to go through the thing of downloading or GUI format to format it to FAT32. The Switch will do that for you. So for now, it doesn't matter, just as long as it's one or the other. Okay, so now once that's done, rename Hekate.bin to payload.bin, and before that, just click on View and make sure you click Show File Name Extensions. Right, well, it's still showing that, but it's not supposed to. But yeah, usually show that so that you're not renaming it to payload.bin. That way it's just payload.bin. Otherwise, if you don't see the extension and you type in payload.bin, then it might make it into payload.bin, which will not work. Okay, so then next, open up NX tab beta, whichever one you picked, and then copy everything in there to your SD card too. And we wait, and then obviously, if all these optional ones, if you want to do that, do these three too. I'll leave a link in the description with these three files in one in one folder. So just take this and just drag the zip in here once this allows you to. Don't drag what's inside, so don't open Magisk and drag all this. For these three files, you drag the actual zip files themselves. Don't go into it like you did with these two and drag and drop. Just make sure you just drag and drop the entire file itself. Okay, so that's basically all it is on the SD card or computer side of things. Everything else is done through the actual Switch. So we'll be back with that. But there was one more thing I wanted to say. What was it? Well, forget it for now. If I remember, I'll probably put it in the comments. Okay, so that's it. Now unplug the SD card from your Switch, and from your computer, and plug it into your Switch, and we'll be back. Guys, so now we're on the Switch side of things, and just one warning before we start: the Joy-Cons that you're gonna have plugged in and you're gonna follow these steps with are the ones that you're gonna have to use with Android. And the problem and the reason for that is that Android requires the Joy-Con Bluetooth data, and I'm gonna show you guys how to get that right now. But make sure that the Joy-Cons that you're going to be using for Android are the ones that you have plugged in. Because if you plug in other Joy-Cons later, you're going to have issues. And other controllers and stuff work. Like if you connect an Xbox controller via Bluetooth, that's fine. But specifically with Joy-Cons, for some reason, I have no idea. But you can't just, if you plug in different Joy-Cons than the one you're about to install Android with, you're going to have issues. So just make sure the Joy-Cons that you're using right now are the ones that you're going to be using with Android from then on. Okay, so now press the power button to turn it on. You should get an error. Yep, like that. Okay, and that's not a big deal. Just press power. That's okay. Alright, now just press done. You can set the time if you want. Alright, so first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to log into OFW, official firmware, so that the Joy-Con data is synced. So what you're going to do is you're going to press reboot, and you're going to press OFW. And literally, we're just going to go into OFW and then leave right away. So, okay, so that's it. Now, click this and power off. And that's all you need to do. Don't skip that step. Alright, now just turn it back on. Come on. Okay, there we go. Alright, now, this next step. Make sure you don't forget this step. So go to NYX options. We're going to do it twice actually. And you're going to press dump Joy-Con on Bluetooth C. So make sure it says found 2 out of 2. Also, if you have third-party Joy-Cons, most likely this is going to say 0 out of 2. Because third-party Joy-Cons, it's not going to have HOS Bluetooth data. So if you have third-party Joy-Cons, I'm not really sure what to tell you. Get real Joy-Cons. I don't know. Okay, so press OK. Now press Tools, Partition SD Card, and since we're using this entire SD card, for Android, you can just take the Android thing and drag it all the way to the right. Okay, that's what I'm doing. So drag the entire Android bar to the right. Now press Next Step, then press Start. And when it tells you to, press power. And this part is going to take a little bit, so I'm going to pause and come back when it's done. Also, guys, if it looks like it's stuck, it's not. It actually, the Lineage 18 file is pretty big, so it takes a while. So this has been like this for almost 30 seconds now. It's still not done. It's not actually stuck, so don't freak out and restart the console. Just wait. Trust me, it will go through. As you can see, it actually went through. Okay, now at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to click Flash Android. And then press Continue. And then press Continue. And again, if it seems like it's stuck, it's not. Just give it some time. You'll get to this screen and just wait. It looks blue on my phone, but it's actually green. That's interesting. Okay, so now here you're going to use volume keys up and down to navigate. So now you're going to go to Apply Update. Actually, no, first you're going to go to Factory Reset. This is not going to delete anything on your actual switch. And then you're going to press power button to factory reset. And you're going to press format data / factory reset. Don't worry, you're not going to lose any data on your switch side. This is only formatting the Android partition. So format data. Even if it fails, that's fine. This is just basically creating the partition layout when we format it before we flash Android. This is where a lot of people get mixed up. They instantly flash Android, but you have to format data before you actually flash Android. Again, it might take a little bit, so just wait. Okay, so once that's done, it should just go bring you back to the screen. Now go down and format system partition and press yes. Okay, now that's done, go up to this arrow key. So as you can see, you can go up to the arrow key, then press back. Now go to Apply Update, and then choose from Switch SD, and now you're going to go down to Lineage 18.1, and you're going to press power on that. Okay, and now it's gonna say signature verification failed, install anyway. Press yes. I'm just gonna pause the video because I forgot this takes a good amount of time. Okay, so now at this point, you can go back again. So go up, back again, and then go to reboot system now. And those other files we will flash in a little bit, but not quite yet. So now we're going to go to more configs, and you will see Lineage 18 right here. You can tap on that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, you do not need to flash GApps anymore. So if you've done a previous install of Android, you needed to flash GApps separately, but you do not need to do that with this version. GApps is included in the Lineage OS file, so you do not flash GApps. Just give it some time. Okay, and as you can see now, you can go through the entire setup process. I'm gonna set it up offline, continue. But you guys can go through the online process and whatnot. So just go through, use location, no. You can leave all of these on if you want, but for this tutorial I'm not going to. Not now, skip anyway. And right here you can leave this checked, but there's a little step at the end. If you guys have used previous versions of, or if you've installed Android previously, and you prefer TWRP recovery. So as you saw just now, that screen that we were on, that was the recovery screen before this, where we did the install stuff, the purple stuff screen and stuff was the recovery. You can choose to install TWRP recovery, and I'll go over that at the end of this video. But if you want to switch to TWRP, then uncheck this. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, just leave it checked, okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't care, just leave it checked. But for those of you that want to switch to TWRP recovery instead, keep following through at the end of the video. I'll show you how to switch to TWRP instead of using this. But if you want to use TWRP, uncheck this, okay? Make sure this is unchecked. If you leave this checked and you flash TWRP, once you go back into the system, it'll update and go back, and it'll revert back into the Lineage recovery. So you can leave that on. So I'm gonna undo it because I'm gonna have to show the tutorial of how to install TWRP. But for most of you, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, leave that checked. Now press next. I don't want to send diagnostics data. You can restore whatever. Just set it up and then just get back into it. And here it's gonna ask you what launcher you want. They have a couple different launchers. So if you do, before you select one permanently, what I would do is I would check out which one I like more. So just click just once, right? And it'll bring you to this one. So this is the normal, Android screen, the home screen. And then if you press home again, it'll ask you again what you want to do, and you can check out console launcher instead, just once, and you'll see that this is and this is basically a cleaner version of the home thing. So once you like keep trying it, so if you keep pressing home, you can just keep switching between different ones, you know, and then just pick the one that you want. Once you've made your decision, you can just click always, and then at this point now when you press home, it'll keep bringing you here. Okay, so now the next thing is to get developer options and to set up advanced recovery. So, oh, where did that go? What just happened? Settings, about tablet, and then go down to build number and keep tapping it. What is going on right now? Is there something stuck to my screen? There's probably something stuck to my screen. Okay, so just tap this like 7 times and it'll say developer mode is unlocked like you just saw. Then go to system, advanced, and then go to developer options right here. And what you want to look for is oh, did they move it? Where did... Oh, right, I think they moved it now to switch configuration. So now you'll see that this is a new thing that they have, is switch configuration. Interesting. Where did so you guys can enable performance mode right here too in switch configuration, but as it says, a higher battery wear and usage, so this could actually damage your CPU. Well, not damage, but it will wear out your CPU over time if you leave this on. So you can turn it on if you want, but you don't have to. Oh, and I guess you don't need to use the Xbox SIP anymore. I didn't realize that they have it built in now. So but earlier in the video I told you guys about the Xbox controller switch thing. You don't need that anymore. Apparently it's just in switch configuration. So if you just go in here, you'll see switch configurations, which is new, and you can just do Xbox layout here instead. So next, I just don't know why I can't find where is... So there was a setting where when you hold power, you could instead of just having the power off and restart options, you also got the option to reboot to Hekate or reboot to the system recovery, and that used to be in developer options right here. So you would go into developer options, and one of these would say enable advanced recovery, but for some reason it's not here anymore. I'm not sure if that's only with the Android TV version or not, or they just removed it in this, but yeah, I don't see it anymore. Interesting. Is it somewhere else? Switch configuration? No, we were in there. Also, another thing, if you're planning to use docked mode, I usually have this on. The internal panel will be turned off, so that this way, when you put your console in your dock, it's not the screen on the tablet's not on too. So it'll just be what's your TV or whatever you're displaying to, that'll be on, and it'll turn it off on the actual Switch screen. I don't know why, and especially if you have an OLED, you don't want your screen to always be on when you're using docked mode. That would just be dumb because you're just going to burn out the screen. So I usually have this option on so that when I dock it, that way it does what it's supposed to. Like it's going to turn off this screen, and then it's going to project it to the other one and keep this screen off until you take it back out. So so that's it for this, and now I'm just going to go over how to get back into recovery. Hold on, so do they already... Yeah, okay, so yeah, there's no more advanced recovery for some reason. So now I'm going to show you guys. So if you wanted to ever get back into recovery, which we're going to do right now to flash the alarm disable, this is .zip. So if you ever need to and Magisks, so to be able to go back into recovery, you're gonna have to turn off the switch completely. I didn't mean to restart it, I meant to press power, but I'm just gonna hold the power button. So if you ever wanted to flash more files, like more .zip files or whatever, what you need to do is you need to press power. So turn on the console first, and then go to more configs, and then once you press Lineage OS, hold the volume button up. So hold volume up, and it'll boot you into recovery again. That way you can flash your zip. So that's what we're gonna do right now, is we're gonna flash there we go. Yep, see, recovery. So if you hold volume up while launching Android, it'll boot into recovery. Okay, so now go to apply update. And now again, go to apply, choose from Switch SD. And then first we're going to install Magisk. So again, this gives you root access. And press yes, even though it says signature verification. It's always going to say that because none of these are actually signed by Android or an actual company. Let that go through. Okay, and then you can go back to choose from Switch SD and do the alarm disable. Press yes again. Okay. Error installing update. Okay, it actually did it. Okay, cool. So now, like I said, the Joy-Con Xbox thing you can ignore because now it's in settings. I didn't really know that till now, but I'm not gonna remake the video just because of that. So just ignore the Joy-Con Xbox. You can delete it. But yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, and the next thing I'm gonna show you guys is, like I said, because this is since you want to switch SD cards, if you want to make it so that right when you plug in the SD card, you don't have to go to launch and then click Android. I'm going to show you guys how to make it so that automatically when you plug in the SD card and you press power, it'll automatically go into Android instead of having to go into Hekate. And same thing when you're doing, if you set it up that way, just hold volume plus if you want to go into recovery. Okay, so yep, okay, so let me turn it back on. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go to Tools, Archbit RCM right here. Oh wait, nope, Console and Options. Yep, you're going to go into Options and then Auto Boot, and then you're going to click INI Folder Configurations right there, okay? And then if you ever want to get back into Hekate, to disable auto boot, just when you press power, hold volume down and it'll bring you back to Hekate. So at this point, if I save options, right, and I turn it off, if I just press the power button now, so watch, so my switch is completely off. If I just press the power button, it's just gonna go directly into Lineage. So if you have an unpatched switch, right, if you have an unpatched switch and you just set that option, all you're gonna have to do is shoot Hekate payload in auto RC or in RCM mode. So, and it'll go into Hekate, and then they'll forward it automatically into Android. So that's what this is doing right now. It's just with if you have an unpatched thing, you have to shoot the payload for Hekate, which will shoot it into Android because you set Hekate to auto boot into Android. If that makes sense, makes sense to me. So, but there you go, guys. But here's another thing, like I said. So if I wanted to change the settings again, if I wanted to disable auto boot, I can hold the power, just power it off, and then wait till it's completely off, then press power, and then hold down volume down. Oh, it didn't actually fully shut off. And there we go. Now on Hekate, you can go to options and you can turn it off. And again, if you power off and you want to go back into recovery, you can wait for it to be completely off, then press power and hold volume up while it boots. And if you see this bar at the bottom, then that means you're going into recovery. And then the last step of this is I'm going to show you guys how to switch to TWRP. So instead of this recovery, oh, I didn't hold power volume up long enough. So you got to keep, you can't let go of volume up till you see the recovery screen or it'll skip it. So right there I failed to go into recovery because I wasn't holding the volume up for long enough. I let go way too early. But yeah, so I hope you guys get it. I'm not going to go over that again. I know it works, just we already did it once. You just hold volume up while it's booting into Android, and it'll go into recovery. So now this last step is for those of you that want to use TWRP recovery instead of Lineage OS recovery. I hate the Lineage OS recovery. TWRP is so much better. So if you want to follow along for the rest of it, you can, but only if you left that option that I was talking about earlier unchecked. If you left that checked, if you follow this next step, the next time you go into Android, it'll just reset it. It'll just update the recovery again back to what we were just using. So hang tight, and I will come back on the PC. Okay guys, so I'm back on the PC side. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to switch to TWRP recovery if you want to use that instead of the Lineage OS recovery, which Lineage OS recovery sucks because you can only use volume up and down, and it just kind of looks crappy. TWRP has, you know, an actual good GUI. You can use touchscreen stuff, and it just looks better, which I'll show you guys the difference in a second. So all you need to do that is just go back to Switchroot website. Switchroot. Yep, right here. So switchroot.org. Right, and then, oh no, not wiki, just Switchroot. Switchroot.org, then go to downloads, then go to Android 11, go to extras, and then just download this TWRP.img. Okay, and then once that TWRP.img is downloaded, you're gonna go into your SD card, then you're gonna go into Switchroot, install. Install Switchroot, install folder, and then drag TWRP.img into that. Wait for it to copy, then eject your SD card, and then plug it back into the switch, and we'll be back with that. Alright guys, so now that you have the TWRP.img, just turn on your switch and go back into Hekate. So if you set auto boot, hold volume down to go back into Hekate. Now press tools, partition SD card, right? We're not going to be actually partitioning, so it doesn't matter. Just click flash Android right here, and then press continue, and you'll see, and then now when you press continue, you'll see that instead of the Lineage OS, what we got before for recovery, you'll have TWRP, and you'll see why TWRP is much better. Just give it a sec, it might take a bit. And here we go. So this is Team Win TWRP recovery. As you can see, it looks a lot better. So when you drag and drop, so now this is your recovery. This is the replacement for what we just used to flash Android. So say we wanted to flash images now, you just press install, select storage, micro SD, and we just deleted it off the SD card, but you see now we have all the files. So right here it would have popped up those .zip files that we just deleted. So if we want to install Magisk at this point, using this, you would click on it and press install, and it just looks a lot better. So now every time you turn off the console, right, and you press power and hold plus, it'll go into oh shit. So if you press power and then hold plus, it'll go into TWRP recovery instead of Lineage OS recovery, which, like I said again, TWRP is much better. I just don't understand how long I have to hold it for. I held it for a while last time, then I let go and it went back into normal booting anyway. Yep, see? And then now it's now we have this recovery instead. And you have a bunch of other things right here. Partition SD Card, reload theme. Don't mess with anything you don't know about. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with this, because it can screw up your Android partition, maybe even your console. But yeah, so if we had any zip files right here, it's not here because we deleted it, but if we had any zip files, all you would do is just select storage, micro SD, and your zip files on the root of your SD would just show up here. And if you didn't put it on your root, you could go into folders by selecting whatever folder you put your zip files in. But I guess that's it for this tutorial, guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and try to show your love. I got my old channel deleted, so I really need you guys to step up and start subscribing to give me motivation to actually make more videos. So I'll see you guys on the flip side.